Hello, everybody. We're live. Welcome to Tea with Mimi. I'm just giving it a minute to start transmitting to our platforms and just want to welcome folks who are coming in on either Facebook or YouTube, both on my page and the page of Dolce Suono Ensemble. It's great to have you here today. The show does stay on as a video if you miss it or if you come in the middle and don't quite get to hear everything you want to hear. Today's very special. I have dear friend and arts industry leader and performer John Wittmann with me for some music and conversation. But first, I thought I would just start with some music. I had mentioned that I'd be playing some Piazzolla today, and I thought this is actually a really good post-Valentine piece of music to hear. I'm going to be sharing a performance I gave of Astor Piazzolla, Argentinian composer's Liber Tango, in 2019 as soloist with the Annapolis Chamber Orchestra, conducted by J. Ernest Green. This was from a concert we gave, including concertos by Mozart and Vivaldi, and this arrangement was made for flute and orchestra by James Kessler. And what's kind of nice with a Yamaha connection for today, based on our guest John Wittmann, you'll see me playing not just a Yamaha regular flute, but an alto flute and a piccolo in this piece. So I hope you enjoy Piazzolla's Liber Tango, and I'm going to put it on and share it to the broadcast. Hello, John, and welcome.
Hi, Mimi. It's so good to see you, and great to hear you play again.
Oh, thank you so much. It was fun to open with some Piazzolla for today, and it is just such an honor and a joy to have you on Tea with Mimi, and just to have this time to chat with you, dear friend.
Thank you. It's always so good to catch up with you. It's been a long time since I've seen you in person, and a lot of things have come down since then. But it's just like whenever I get a chance to be with you, it's just like we're like we never separated. No time has passed.
Exactly. It feels that way to me. And just until we reconnect in person and navigate this difficult time of COVID, it'll just be nice to talk with you. And we have a lot of music and images lined up for our friends here. Thanks, everyone, for joining. I'm going to officially introduce my dear friend, John Wittmann, today. John is Senior Director of Artist Relations and Education for the Yamaha Corporation of America, where he directs educational programs and supports artists throughout the United States and internationally. He holds 2 degrees in music and was a band director in New York State, where he led successful high school music programs. And as a drummer, he has a lifelong career as a touring musician, a clinician, a lecturer on music and the music industry, and has authored many articles for music magazines and other publications about music. I personally have known you since I was a teenager, and that's what's just so special about this relationship, because I think you joined Yamaha maybe a year after I did as a Yamaha performing artist and clinician, or around the same time after my dear beloved mentor teacher, the late Julius Baker, had me first try his flutes, and I also tried my other fantastic teacher, Jeffrey Kaner's Yamaha flutes, and fell in love and switched over and then joined the roster. And so it's just been such a privilege to work with you since that time.
Yes, I know. And I remember, when I started with Yamaha, gosh, 25-ish years ago, that's hard to believe to say that, I was first brought on to manage drum set artist relations, which is, my instrument, as you said, and so I was, excited about that. I had been with Yamaha for 8 years before that as an artist, as a drum set artist. And then they asked me to come on, which was a wonderful, wonderful opportunity for me. But the point is, 6 months after I was hired to manage artist relations, Mr. Bennett, who you remember, walked in my office and he said, well, we're moving artist relations, and drum set, all of the business, all of artist relations, we're moving that out to California. And I'm sitting there in Grand Rapids. I just started 6 months earlier. And he said, and we want you to manage all of artist relations for all of the band and orchestral division. So it was quite a curve, but we have to embrace change. And I have been, very, very fortunate to have the background as a band director. So at that point, I could speak the vernacular of, woodwinds and brass and strings and percussion, and embrace that. And that's when I met you very early in my career there.
Yes, well, that actually just brings me to my first question. And just for people to have a little bit of an insight into what you're doing, heading up artist relations and education for Yamaha, how many artists do you have now on the roster?
Well, it's kind of a convoluted. Let me try to simplify. In the band and orchestral world, there are, for Yamaha in this country, there are about 800 artists. And I remember when I started that there was about 200 maybe. And so, we've definitely grown, but we're also very, very, particular about who we bring on, because it's not only, bringing on an artist who plays Yamaha or who has found their voice in Yamaha, but we really do look for good people, and, such as yourself, because it would not help us at all if we had an amazing musician who wasn't a good and giving person. That just is so incongruent with who we are as a company, as you know.
Well, thank you so much. I mean, no, I think it shows what a deep bench of talent you have in this world, in this segment of the industry, and of course, artists of all instruments and all styles accounts for that. But one thing that I have always felt, is that having all these artists, and of course, you don't do it alone. You have a tremendous team, and we're gonna take a look at some of those people in a little bit. But you have always made me feel that I'm your only artist when we're dealing with issues and projects together. And I know you make everyone feel that way. How do you do it, John?
Well, Mimi, thank you for saying that. I think that does, that makes me feel really good, actually, honestly, because one of my beliefs is that I have never achieved any success by what I've said. It's always been what I've heard and how I've listened. I think, to answer your question, I think that I'm able to make people experience, truthful and open listening by employing some of the things that I've learned over the years by, the different books I've read. And that is, to listen to someone as if they're the only person in the world. And I've seen people do this, where they, look directly at the person. And I heard the phrase once, you must listen with your whole body. And that really struck with me, because sometimes my mind can be random, abstract, and I can think of too many things at once. And when I am really listening to a person, if I'm succeeding, then I'm really focusing on everything that they're saying, and reading their body language, and understanding what they're saying to me, maybe not even in words. And I think that if I had to say what skills have maybe brought me some success, it would definitely be boiled down to the fact that I think I'm a good listener. And I think that helps me as much in my job with Yamaha as it does myself as a musician. My gosh. I mean, being a drummer, you have to take your chops and the technique that you've learned, kind of out of the equation, and just listen to that song, pardon me, and support the artist, and just be part of that tapestry. And to do that successfully, you have to just really, really open your mind and open your heart to what's going on around you, and to try to be part of that tapestry. So the long way of saying, I think that I'm successful in my job because I have never learned from anything I've said. I've always learned from what other people have said, and I try to pay attention as best as I can. So.
That's so beautiful, John, because I was thinking if I had to sum up in one word, but there are many, some of what makes you so successful in this very hybrid and diverse career you have, I would say great listening and inspiring listening. I mean, listening is so fundamental to making music itself, and in that sense, such an allegory for life, right? In so many areas of our lives, good listening makes things a lot better, and
Yeah.
the opposite. But
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, I was thinking, in the way that you have listened to me, and I see you listening to young artists, for example, at YIPA. I should probably say what that is. That's Yamaha Young Performing Artists Competition and Festival, where you and the fantastic team mentor young artists. The listening piece is just so important. And I got to see that firsthand at YIPA when you invited me to be Yamaha Old Artist. No, I don't think that was my title. I think it was like mentor artist or something.
Featured performing artist.
That sounds so much better. Thank you so much. Yeah, no, it was part of those sessions for the kind of college and grad school age artists, and kind of, as you do, kind of mentor by example and through conversation and listening. So that was just so beautifully put. And I think it's also a great segue to hearing some of drumming by you. I have a fun surprise. We got together. I'm just going to set up the share while I introduce this.
Okay.
Give me just 1 second on this share of a screen. But we did a very impromptu performance several years ago. This was in Indiana. This was at, I think, Carmel, Indiana High School. Right. And
Yes.
You were bringing me there for a clinic, and we were going to work with the kids. But there was all this percussion, right? And I said, "Oh, John, let's do something together." So you grabbed, I think it's a djembe, right? A drum. And with no rehearsal, we just played for the audience there this Brazilian choro by Altamiro Carrillo, Aeroporto do Galeão. And it was really fun. So I have this. I'm really happy to share it. I don't know if you want to say anything before, or just maybe after. However.
Well, I just can't wait to hear it. I mean, I haven't even seen this or heard this. I remember the day very, very well, but I'm just excited to hear it.
Wonderful. I'm going to press go.
Okay. That was fun.
Wasn't it? I can't wait to do it again or just do some more music.
I know. Well, you're such a good communicator musically, that it wasn't. I mean, I wasn't familiar with the piece, but just following you and the way you were moving and telling me where you were going, you made it easy. It was fun.
Thank you. Well, considering you'd never heard it before and cluing into even some like that silence, it's just a testament to you as a drummer, as a musician, as a listener, like what we were just talking about.
Yeah, the only thing that ruined it was my green sweater. What was I thinking? I don't know.
I liked it. It was, colorful.
Okay.
Okay, next time we could choose other outfits. No, that's really good. But I have another question for you, John. First, I just want to say hi to some of our listeners and friends who are here. Hello, everybody. If I'm missing you, sorry, but I'm seeing some of your comments, and it's great to have you. Benjamín, saludos en Mérida. Un abrazo para ti, Ros. Marty, thanks for being here. Jorge, saludos. Uncle Harvey. Mom and Dolce Suono Ensemble Board Chairman Ronnie Gordon, thank you for your beautiful message here. Comments. We love your comments and your questions, by the way. Questions for John Wittmann, anything that comes to mind, please put them in. I'm saying, Jonelle Etienne, salut, merci. Tuning in from Haiti. And, this gives me a good time to practice my Cyrillic. Katyushka Sherbakova. Thank you for being here. It's great to have you, everybody. Please put on your comments. Krista Hansen, hello. Rick Rosen, hello. Thank you. Questions and comments, welcome. My next question for you, very much about your life and your path in music, because I think for all of us who are artists or aspiring artists or who do art, it's always a question, right, of kind of doing the best work we can, doing inspiring work, being ourselves, and sometimes a challenge of finding out exactly who that is, finding our place in an arts world that has never really been easy, right, to make as a career. But you have such a multifaceted life as drummer and touring artist and clinician and writer, and your work for Yamaha supporting artists in education and, from a band director background. Those are just some of the many things that you do. Your motivational speaking also brings some of the wisdom that you've gained to others in a wonderful way. How have you navigated or found your own path? And even just the list of things that you do, it's amazing that you do them from a time management standpoint. So I think that's also something we're so interested to hear about.
Well, I think that I can't really hesitate to talk about faith when you're talking about your life, because I would be remiss if I didn't say that I know it, when I look back. Now I'm 62. When I look back on high school and undergrad and then touring for 3 years straight without stopping, 3 years straight playing 5 hours a night, 6 nights a week, and then back, for the masters, and then being a band director. I mean, all of the things that were, placed in my life by God built and prepared me, for the next step. I mean, it's comical in a good and blessed way. I don't think that I'm responsible for my success. I feel like I just paid attention and kept track of what I was learning along the way, and paid attention to role models and anti-role models with the same amount of focus. My path changed, so many times. And I think that that's something that our listeners should really think about too, is, be comfortable with the fact that, things are going to change, your direction is going to change and your plans are going to change. And that's really okay. You really, embracing change is just a part of life. My earliest pivotal conversation happened when I was in 6th grade. That helped me with the path pertaining to your question. And that was, we lived in a small flat, which is like a small apartment for those of you not on the East Coast, in upstate New York. And, I had been drumming for a long time, but by sixth grade, my father had passed away. My mother was working crazy times and hours, and we were very responsible for keeping the family together. My brother, pardon me, my sister and I. My mother sat me down in sixth grade. I was 11, and she said, "You've got to know that you need to figure this out because I can't pay for your drum lessons." I didn't take any drum lessons. You're breaking sticks, you're breaking heads, you're breaking everything. And if you want to go to this high school, it's called Catholic Central, you've got to figure out how to pay that tuition. You've got to figure out how to buy drumsticks, drum heads, drum lessons. It's all on you. And that scared me to death because I was thinking, how could I not drum? How could I not, do this thing that was, was inside me? And that was the best pivotal conversation I think that one of few I've had in my life, because I realized right then I'm completely responsible, 100% responsible for my, for my success or for my, progress. So I walked up to the Snowman, which was an ice cream store on Fifth Avenue and 114th Street in Troy. And I knocked on the door, and because I thought that would be the coolest place to work, at an ice cream store, And this guy opened the door, and he was a Marine, and his name was Donald Baker. And he said, "What do you want?" And they said, "I was wondering if you have a job, I'll do anything you need done." And he said, "Well, what do you charge?" And I said, I hadn't thought about it. And I said, $1 an hour? And he said, "Okay." And that started my relationship with him and working to help support my mom and music. And that relationship lasted all the way through college, or into college. So my path, I think, was determined by keeping my eyes open, by having faith, and trusting God to put me in the right positions at the right time. And believe me, Mimi, I had some really hard times, along the way, as far as just professionally and health, and having record labels that were, like handed right to us, completely fall apart. So it hasn't been easy for sure, but I think that the path was determined for me, but I've always had this feeling like I have to be prepared. And I still do, I still feel like, I still practice, daily, and I still keep my hands, at the best level I can, play different styles. It's not like somebody calls you and says, "Mimi, would you like to play this, piece with this orchestra?" And you don't have 2 months to work on it. Sometimes maybe you've got to play it, very, very, quickly in short order, and you got to be prepared.
Yeah. Well, I mean, thank you for sharing just so personally this meaningful story about your past and your path and how you found it. I think it's really inspiring to hear for everybody, especially because, like you're saying, those ideas about being prepared, those ideas about faith for those of us for whom it's important. And then I think for everyone really in life, but especially artists during the pandemic, flexibility is one of the key points that I also took away. That's something that my students and students I encounter in master classes are asking me a lot about. And I'm sure you too, all the time. And then just in terms of, moments where there are changes in the business, changes in what you thought you were going to do, and maybe it's not resonating as much. And it actually, maybe you want to run with that. It reminds me of this wonderful talk you give to aspiring artists on 10 things I wish I knew, which I've heard you give at different Yamaha events and conferences. So I don't know if you want to share a little bit about that while we're in this angle.
Sure. I could share that I have given that talk. It's called 10 Things I Wish I Knew. And I've given it, for years and years and years at, music schools and conferences and everything. But the important thing is that it always changes. Every New Year's Day, I sit and I look back on my journal, which is here. I always have something to write on all the time. And I look back in the year and I ask myself, what have I learned? you know? And then I look at the 10 things and I ask, well, what has to change? Do I still believe in that? Do I still, must something come in, and replace something? So I think that the 10 things have been well accepted, and they've helped me because there's a phrase that says we write the books that we need to learn from. And the 10 things are something that I always look at and say, well, what have you learned, and what do you need to work on? And like I said, they always do change, and there's 10 of them, but I like rewriting them, and as I go, and because I change, and life changes. One of them that I can address now, if you want me to pick one.
Oh, I'd love to. Let's
Okay.
get it. That would be great.
Yeah. I think that the one that has been striking me these days is, how you consistently treat people really determines so much of your success and the momentum you receive from people. And Mimi, I know that you know this. There are times in your career that it's so hard to just get up and practice and get it together, right? I mean, it's like sometimes it's like pushing a rock up a hill. We have high points and then we have low points, and but people end up giving you momentum, and how you consistently treat people determines how they're going to treat you. And it's being predictably the same kind person, being consistently the patient solution finder, being someone that people are comfortable being with because you show up being the same person every day, and being predictably kind, and predictably, like I said, solution oriented. There's a saying that says it's not what you know, it's who you know. But also it's who knows you. And if you are consistent in, emoting no surprises, zero drama, civility. What's civility? It's being civil is just being consistently kind to everyone in the spoken word, in the written word, and being kind and considerate and professional, and abstaining from talking about other people and profanity. And it's just being a really, really good corporate and human citizen. And if you are that way, guess what? People want to be with you. And you could be the greatest player in the world. Mm-hmm. And if you're not a civil, kind person, man, people just won't hire you again. Do you agree?
Yes. And it's interesting because everything you're saying, it's a life lesson. It goes so far beyond music. But I was thinking about how, as a chamber musician, so much of what happens in an ensemble, this as a band member, right? It's really such a microcosm of what life is like. Like there are times to lead, there are times to follow. Yeah. Sometimes you lead by following. Everyone sounds better when you try to make everyone sound their best and help them. Just then they'll support you back if you're having a difficulty. I mean, in the moment of music, it's so much a parallel to what you're saying in this kind of macro picture of being a colleague, a person, being the best human being we can be, in all avenues. So, yeah.
I think that it's really not, that is not fluffy, just be nice. That's hardcore business. I mean, it's really like, really, really, regardless of what kind of mood you're in, just show up, breathe, open up, listen to what's happening, and try to be like the most positive, solution-oriented person with zero drama. Your musicianship will stand up for itself, but it's who you are as a person and how you treat others. Because if you think about how much time we spend actually performing, it's pretty small compared to the amount of time that we're actually with, people rehearsing and eating and traveling and all that stuff, right?
Yeah, that's so true. And actually, kind of a segue into what goes into making music. It's not just getting out there and performing. I mean, it's people like you. It's the people who are making it happen in artist relations, in supporting what we do. And just a very couple special parts of working with you, John, has been your support, or Yamaha support, for the educational work of my Dolce Suono ensemble, and especially our Música en tus manos project, or Music in Your Hands. It's our project going on since 2012 with Philadelphia's Latino community, very sizable community. And this project is about performing the music of Spain and Latin America, both chamber music and popular music, for people, often introducing students and people of all ages to some of this music for the first time. And part of what Yamaha has been able to make possible for us is because we do a lot of this with schools and community organizations that we partner with, through the emphasis on education that you've offered, is the student flute and 3/4 size cello that we've used at instrument petting zoos, which are incredible. And we have photos of these on the dolcesuono.com website and mimistillman.com and our Facebooks and Instagrams and YouTube. So I hope everyone follows to check it out. But we've had people try instruments for the first time under the guidance of our ensemble members. And it's been really special and really hands-on, and kind of just a function of how you do tailor the support to exactly what's going on the ground for us, and something I'm very grateful for, John.
Oh, well, thank you for saying that. And, it's like you really just personify in my mind somebody who is a true artist at being an artist. I mean, you not only, play it's such a high level, and your sound is so beautiful, but that there's no day that a crown came down from heaven and said, you are now an artist, and now you don't have to do anything else. It's like being an artist is a verb, it's not a noun, right? And you created Dolce Sono, and you create everything that you do, you create, and that's what makes you, in my opinion, such a successful artist.
Thank you so much, John. Coming from you, that means so much. And one thing that I feel is really a privilege, or I like to say, if we're doing being an artist right, we get to learn our whole lives. And it is really so meaningful to be able to do that. And sometimes when I'm at a loss of words, music is a solution. So I'd love to share some more of your music, actually, from another facet of your career. But first, we have a very special comment from one of your former students. Hello, Maureen Amiot. She was a student of yours in New York, and says it's wonderful to see you. So welcome, Maureen.
Oh my gosh. Hi, Maureen. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. It's so wonderful she was a flutist in the first band I ever conducted at Keaveney Memorial High School in Cohoes, New York.
Thank you for coming out. Oh, she's grinning the whole time. Well, we're smiling at you, and it's nice to meet you. It's great to have you tune in.
Oh,
yeah.
Wonderful.
Oh, and Rick Rosen, thank you so much for your comments. Yes, it's great to have you reflect on what we were just talking about in that way. Thank you. Yeah, he loves being an artist is a verb. That is lovely. Oh, and thanks, Maureen, for your comments on my performance too. What we're going to share now is just a clip, because there's lots of these great tracks on YouTube, but from your work in the Jenny DeVoe band, maybe you can even introduce this. It is going to be 50 Ways to Leave Your Lover with a bit of a percussion moment. So I don't know if you wanted to say anything while I cue it up, but I'd love to share this style that you work in.
Sure. Thanks. Jenny DeVoe is a singer-songwriter, a wonderful singer-songwriter in Indianapolis, and I've been drumming with her for years and years and years. She's a wonderfully prolific writer. The song, and great singer. The song that you're hearing, 50 Ways to Leave Your Lover, is by Paul Simon. And it's got a very, very famous drum track by Steve Gadd, who is one of my heroes for sure. And this is Jenny's interpretation of it. And I think we just stretch out on it for a little while. It's been a while since I've seen this. So sure, go ahead.
Great. And maybe it's true. I don't know. Are two performances ever the same in this style?
No.
Wait, yeah. Probably more not the same than like if you do a classical piece, but we do that. We do improv, and really it's never the same even.
Right.
Right. Yeah. Okay, let's get to some of that.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, sure.
get yourself free. Inside your head, you said to me, the answer is easy if you take it out to play. Well, I'd like to help you with your struggle to be free. There must be 50 ways, yeah, 50 ways to leave your lover, 50 ways to leave your lover. Just sit back and back, Jack. Look at you, play, say, don't let me come on, Roy. Need to get yourself free. I'm on a bus, but don't need to discuss my chicken. So I'm free. Just sit back, Jack. Bring it in, play, say, don't let me come on, Roy. Need to get yourself free. No need to discuss it. Just run off the key. Get yourself free. Get yourself free. Won't you get yourself free?
Bravo, John. That was terrific.
Isn't it painful watching yourself sometimes?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it really can be. But do you remember doing that? We were just joking about how we sometimes don't really remember what we've done in performance.
Yes. Yeah. It's just, well, it's so true. You know, somebody said to me a long time ago, you're really not serious about becoming a better musician unless you tape yourself and videotape yourself, film yourself. And man, that's so true. I mean, it's just, I'm just joking, but I mean, it's like watching yourself play. You can't help but be critical, but that's the way it is.
Oh, but we all enjoyed it so much. And that was great. Really, really beautiful grooves happening and shifting and partnering with the other solos. So yeah, I so enjoyed hearing that.
Yeah, thanks. Playing with Jenny is definitely, it's great. And it's also serious business. She's a woman who's never classically trained at all, but boy, does she know exactly what she wants. And she can verbalize it in just a different language.
Yeah. And it's so different, right? Playing with people or a person that you've played with for a very long time versus having a new experience with someone, with like playing for the first time with someone. I know I experienced that with my duo pianist of many years, Charles Abramovic, who you've met, and my ensemble members. But then there's the festival experience where you just kind of meet someone. What's it like as a drummer in rock or jazz or folk to have that difference between kind of very well-known collaborators and just new people?
Yeah, from a drummer's perspective, showing up and not knowing the people and not knowing the music, that this is where the preparation, must come in for sure. You've got to be able to be like super confident and just fit into the tapestry without trying to impress anybody. I think, my biggest compliment, if I receive it, is not, hey, you sounded good, but oh, I love that song, or the band sounded great. If nobody hears me, then I think it's a successful thing. Yeah, I think that if people groove and they, I can tell, excuse me, I can tell while I'm playing with someone new or Jenny, watching people out in the audience, you can tell, are their feet tapping? Are they bobbing? Is there a groove happening out there? And it's a yes or a no to me. You've really got to simplify. And if you don't know anybody while you're playing with them for the first time, it's really about watching everybody in the group. There's usually somebody who will cue and ask you to pick it up or pull it back a little bit, or cue endings or beginnings and things like that. You just want to dynamically fit in and not stick out for sure. But you just want to make sure you can tell. You watch the lead singer, you watch the lead instrumentalist, and you can tell if they settle in and if they're feeling it. And if they're not, you just have to adjust to it. But being a sub is something that I really, really, really enjoy. I enjoy it a lot because it's super challenging. Many times you are either sight reading, or it's just you just show up to play like a wedding or a party or something like that. I do have on my iPad one page that has probably like 200 songs, single spaced with the title of the tune, all in alphabetical order, and then dash, and then the metronomic marking, and then just an indication of what groove. Because you've got to have an idea. If somebody turns around and says, dance with me, you have to have some reference to be able to at least get in the right zone. And most of the time, if you don't really know the tune, it doesn't strike you right away. At least I can pull up, it's 94. I can dial that up on the metronome, start it, or they might click it off. Then when the tune starts, it's like, I know that. And then you just play it as straight and as simple as you possibly can. You like leave out as much as you can, and people love that space.
That's really interesting from your standpoint, because, I'll be the first to admit, in ensembles where there is a drum set, whether it's bowling, suite, or we do a lot of Latin music or some earlier jazz styles like Jelly Roll Morton and Felsweiler, the flute voice might be the lead instrument or the highest voice, or a little bit more like the vocalist in some of this repertoire, but really the drummer is the most important person in the ensemble. So you're kind of the anchor. So it's
it's
more attention, but
yeah, totally. I mean, you can have a great ensemble made of great players, and if you have a mediocre drummer, the whole ensemble is mediocre then. And you could have like an okay mediocre group with a really, really sensitive and listening drummer, and they can lift it up. It's a really big responsibility. And, I know that sounds kind of like, I'm not trying to be like pretentious in any way, shape, or form, but I mean, it's like whether I'm playing a wedding or a big concert with Jenny or whatever, man, I walk in there and I'm like I've got to get this. I feel like it's not about my drumming at all. I feel like it's about musically making an enjoyable experience for the band and the listeners, for sure.
That's really so interesting to hear from that perspective. Oh, and we have a question. First of all, Andrew Kalimahos, thank you for listening and for your lovely comment. Victor Coco, great to see you. Ronnie Gordon asks, John, who are your favorite drummers? I'd love to know too. That's a great question.
That is a good question, Ronnie. I would say the person I mentioned earlier, Steve Gadd. His last name is Gadd. And if you looked him up on YouTube, you'll find that he played on so many songs that you don't even realize that he played on. But he's also a wonderful and really unique soloist and stylist. So he would be my biggest influence for sure. I think I also really like Carter Beauford from the Dave Matthews Band. Just a very, very colorful, wonderful drummer. And there's another guy that I'll mention whose name is Tommy Igoe. And he's he played in the city a lot. He played at Birdland for many years consistently. And then he moved to the West Coast, and he has his own big band out there, but it's not like older style big band stuff. It's very, very modern, funky, horn band stuff. So, and Definitely a big influence on me, and I'd say David Garibaldi from Tower of Power, for sure. Yeah.
That's great. Well, I love big band style,
Mm-hmm.
the classic kind too. Yeah.
Yeah, it's fun.
Great to
It's
hear you
fun.
say that. Absolutely. Well, this is Tea with Mimi, and I have some tea today. So I was going to ask you what beverage you have, John, with you,
Well, I
and
had iced
drinking.
tea.
Iced tea. Did you just switch from coffee? Were you
I did.
drinking?
Yeah.
Iced tea. Well, cheers to you.
Cheers.
And this is also in your honor. I have my Indianapolis mug today.
Oh, nice.
Herbal tea, because I call Indianapolis my home away from home. That's where
Mhm.
we meet, where you're based, where Music for All happens. And I would just love to tell our friends about this fantastic event. Some of you might know it. It was originally called Bands of America, and it brings together top high school and now middle school bands and orchestras from around the country. They've added chamber music, which I was very honored to kick off when that happened, and added choir. And it's just a really enriching festival where it's been a thrill to be the Yamaha flute masterclass teacher. And it's a great time where we get together, and I'm actually going to share a couple photos from Music for All, but if you want to talk about that event, it's really special. But I do miss it. It was actually March 2020 when we were meeting in Indianapolis, and COVID hit, and we haven't had that event happen. So I hope it'll be back as soon as it's safe to do it. Yeah.
Music for All is the overarching umbrella, including Bands of America. And Bands of America, it really covers all of the marching. And Music for All, like Mimi said, covers, they have chamber music, and they have wind ensemble and jazz ensemble and orchestra and even choir. And Yamaha is the corporate presenting sponsor for Music for All, and that covers all of the marching band competitions as well as the concert and other jazz styles of music, also in percussion festival. And so we've been together with them for even before I was with Yamaha, so probably over 25 years.
Wow. Yeah, because the organization does year-round events, and I guess I'm talking about the national festival event where I've joined you all. But actually, this is just so nice because we have some of our dear friends here. This was taken, I think, 2019 in Indianapolis with left to right, Brian Peterson of Yamaha. And then in the middle, Jalissa Gasho, who I work so closely with, who works with you, and she's so tremendous. And then former colleague of yours in artist relations and education, Jennifer Vierling, is there. And these are just people who've become dear friends, as well as just the most tremendous team of Yamaha in all aspects.
And Brian is Pedersen on the last that you mentioned. He's now manager over all wind instruments like woodwinds and brass and string instruments. He lives out in Buena Park, California. Jalissa is still with me for sure, and she's manager of AR. And Jennifer now is working with real estate and able to spend much more time with her two very young boys. So she's doing great.
That is great. It's nice to see these guys. They might be tuning in, so we'll say hi, everybody, to them as well. But it's been special because at Music for All, in those days, it's kind of a weekend. And as flute masterclass teacher, I teach maybe 200 flutists in group masterclasses over 2.5 days or so. And it's really intense and it's really fun. And some students who I've met that way have come to study with me at Temple University in my studio, or I'm sometimes on tour performing and someone will say that they worked with me at Music for All. So I've just seen what an impact that event has on young musicians.
Yeah, it's a great organization, great people.
Yeah, which is really inspiring. So one more show and tell for our friends, because this is just us. I think this was at a Music for All event as well, where we do our fun stuff. And here we are.
Was that the last time I saw you? Was that was that the last concert band festival in 2019? This one, do you think?
It might have been. I couldn't find the year of this, but it does look relatively recent. So we have kind of this type of photo and with other Yamaha friends kind of from every year going back. So it's nice to revisit that and hopefully to create more exciting experiences soon. But John, I mean, it's just been so great having you share a little bit about your life and your profound thoughts about music and about your role in the music world, and for all of us really as we navigate this. What are you excited about? Do you have some performances or plans that are inspiring you right now?
Well, I've got a few things going on this summer. I have a lot of gigs coming up, and I'm really, really excited about to get outside and just to get playing and bashing drums again, and, you know, playing with people and seeing people at festivals and, you know, all over, you know, the different states around here with Jenny and with different bands also. And I will also be continuing the tradition of going out to Colorado and climbing a different, there are mountains called 14ers that are over 14,000 feet high. And so this will be our 10th one. And I'm excited about that. Carolyn, my wife, and I have done two. And two of my childhood friends, Jimmy and Steve, we met when we were in kindergarten. So we've known each other for, you know, really, 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 really long time. We get together and we do a different mountain in the Rockies every year. So I'm looking forward to getting in shape for that, and, you know, doing that climb. And NAMM this year, the big show for National Association of Music Merchants, that's going to happen in June rather than January. So we'll be producing a really big show out there. So yeah, I'm just looking forward to, you know, getting out, playing drums, running a lot, and you know, trying to stay healthy and enjoying some nice weather outside. Yeah.
That is so great. So in your spare time, and I don't know how you have any, you also climb incredibly tall mountains. So that's incredible. And yeah, love to Carolyn as well, if she's tuning in or later. But yeah, I mean, once again, thank you for being here. Thank you much more globally for all you mean to me and to the music world, John. And
thank you for everything.
You're so welcome. It's been great having you on the show. I want to thank again everyone who's listening or who'll be listening later on to this. Please share it with anyone you think would like to enjoy it. Please follow on the social media. And for those of you, well, I was going to say not just in Philadelphia where we're based, because our concerts this year of Dolce Suono Ensemble, DSE Presents, are also available virtually because we're filming them for anyone around the globe, and just to be flexible depending on what is happening with COVID situation. We hope you'll join us. Our next one is actually based on Latin music, Música en tus Manos program on March 13th. And then we have another one in June. And I'll be so excited to be starting more and more travels, you know, as the situation allows. And so I hope to see people around, and it would be great to meet you in person. But thanks for being with us virtually, everybody.
Thanks, Mimi.
Okay.
All the best to you and Mom and Dad.
Thank you so much. Love from all of us to you.
Okay.
All right. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.